Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. So again, this is a webinar style training or onboarding, so we will have a lot of different Jump clients on today, but I want to make sure that you guys feel free to answer, ask any questions as we go through the onboarding. While I'm going through the onboarding, feel free to enter your questions into the chat. I'll pause and then I'll read your question out and answer it. But if you prefer to ask your question out loud, I'll leave time at the very end for that so we can answer any questions that you may have. But let's go ahead and get started. So as an introduction, my name is Derek Decker. I'm an onboarding specialist here at Jump, and I've been working here for around 6 months, and our product is around a year old. We just had our birthday like last month. So we've been growing a lot. We're super excited to have you all on. So let's go ahead and get started here. So as an introduction to Jump and kind of where we came from, so around a year ago, we were discussing, or our founders were discussing, kind of where AI was going and where we could find or provide value with this new tool and this new kind of era that we're in with AI. And so as they were looking through the idea of a note taker and discussing the idea with different industry experts, we started to talk to some financial advisors here in Salt Lake City, where we're headquartered. And they really saw the value in the note-taking capabilities, especially if it was secure and compliant with y'all's industry. And so that's where we ended up pivoting to the finance industry specifically. We really wanted to build out a note taker that minimize the amount of time that you're working on administration, taking notes, and maximizing the amount of time that you could focus on your clients and making money for both you and them. So we built an AI assistant for financial advisors. And so when we're having these conversations, we were hearing advisors say that they were having to hire for these, administration kind of processes, and they were using dictation services and using generic AIs that really weren't getting the outputs that they were really wanting. And so, we wanted to make a product for advisors specifically that was easy to set up, completely customizable, but most importantly, secure and compliant, because we know how important that is for y'all's industry. And what we've seen is you're able to cut up to 90% of your admin time just by using your note taker, having things like pre-meeting prep to prep you for your meeting so you don't have to go back and scrub through notes. And then, of course, the ability to easily sync over your notes and tasks to your CRM and get those follow-up emails already generated for you, so you have a minimal amount of time after the meeting to follow up with your client. So we like to say that Jump is there for you before your meeting, like I said, with pre-meeting prep, setting you up for success for your discussion with your clients, during your meeting, meaning we're taking notes while you're focusing on your client, and then after your meeting with the ability to easily sync over to your CRM. And we've gotten tons of industry recognition, but what we really love to hear is back from our advisors specifically. And we've had tons of great feedback on how much time Jump has saved our advisors per day or per week. It's actually insane depending on your workflow. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our demo. So how I'm going to break this training up is first by when you already have your account set up, how are you starting your week out with Jump? How are you prepping? How are you, making sure that you're set up for success to meet with your clients and go in with confidence? The second piece is how do you start an impromptu meeting? So maybe a last minute meeting with your client walking in the office, or someone just gives you a call. How do you get your note taker on those? Third, how do you get, after a meeting has been completed, how do you get the notes that were generated, the tasks that were generated into your CRM, and use the follow-up emails to follow up with your client? And then lastly, we'll go over some personal settings, the user settings, to make sure that you have everything configured how you want. So where I like to start is on this upper left side bar. So when you first get signed into Jump, as you probably already have, you'll get into the Getting Started section. So Getting Started will just walk you through how to set up your integrations with your CRM, with things like Zoom and Teams, any other integrations that may be relevant to you. And we'll talk about those at the end a little bit as well. But I'm going to assume that you already have everything set up. So where do you start your day? So that is where I talk about the Home tab. So the Home tab is pretty self-explanatory. It's just a snapshot of what's going on today. So you can see all of your today's meetings here on the right side, the title of the meeting coming in from your calendar, whether it is a Google meeting, a Zoom meeting, or just a regular capture in person meeting, and the date or the time. Here on the left side, you will see something called global search. So global search, currently in beta, allows you to ask anything to the AI or Jump's AI about previous meetings, and really it acts as a personal assistant, kind of brainstorm ideas with you. So for example, I asked the AI, could you summarize my last meeting with John Halpert? And what it did is it gave me a little description of, my meeting with him, what date it happened, what was discussed, and then it gives me some nice bullet points of the meeting details and action items that came out of that meeting. Now, this is a pretty simplified or simple ask for the AI, but you can really use this to brainstorm ideas, like, maybe generate a kind of email on the fly for this client, depending on this meeting specifically. So you really can use this AI for a lot of different things, not just simply asking about previous meetings. And the idea behind this feature is that eventually it will be able to go directly into your CRM and pull out any information from your CRM specifically. So you won't just have to be, have the data within Jump to get some answers. It'll be able to go into your CRM and pull out anything that you'd like. So we want it to be a one-stop shop, a true assistant for you here in the future. Now that's the Home tab, but similarly is the Upcoming tab. So the Upcoming tab should be reflective of what's on your calendar. You'll see tomorrow's meetings, and you'll see up to 2 weeks out or up to 30 events from your calendar. And this allows you to take a look at your week, make sure you understand what's coming up. And also it allows you to toggle on and off your note taker on a per meeting basis. So for example, my annual review with Jim Halpert here, I know it's a Zoom meeting because we found a Zoom link within the event on your calendar. And you can see my note taker is toggled on. When you first set up your account, you're able to choose whether you want your note taker to automatically arrive, meaning all of these will be toggled on automatically, or you can choose to not have it automatically arrive, meaning they will all be toggled off. That means you have to go in and toggle them on a per meeting basis. But that's completely up to you on how you want to set that up, and I'll show you where that setting is to adjust it later at the end. So if I toggle this off for my Jim Halpert review, the note taker will not arrive. If it's toggled on, it'll arrive 5 minutes prior to when the meeting's set to take place. And you'll also see that there are meetings that say capture in person. So what that means is that we did not find a meeting link. Again, it could be Teams, Zoom, a lot of different meeting conferencing tools. But if we did not find a meeting link, our assumption is that you're just going to have an in-person meeting with that client. So with my quarterly review with the Whitemans, I can click on this and you'll see as my meetings are coming up, I have this red record button here in the left box. And when the meeting is about to start or as it's starting, I can go ahead and click this red circle. It's going to ask me to provide access, and then it's going to count down 3, 2, 1. And then you see as I speak, you can see the voice lines move up and down. That's how you can kind of confirm that it's actually capturing the meeting. So you can set your laptop or computer to the side, have a discussion with your client, and then it will just capture the ambient noise in the room. And this works very similarly to the app. The app has the same red circle that you just click and set your phone down if you're on the go, and then you can have the conversation with the client. And then when you're done with your conversation, you simply click the stop. It lets you know how long you've been recording. You can download the recording if you need to. You can trash it if you were just testing things out. And then you have the option to submit. And this is something I want to emphasize in importance. If you do not submit the meeting, it won't go to Jump and we won't process notes and tasks for you. So you want to make sure it's part of your process to always submit the meeting if you use Capture in Person, whether it's on your mobile phone or on your computer, so it gets to us for processing. Now, if you forget, it will stay in your browser, but eventually your browser cache may be erased and the meeting would be erased. So just make sure you make it part of your process. Once you click stop, you also click submit. But I'm going to go ahead and trash this because we don't need a meeting about me talking about that. So going back to my upcoming tab, another feature that's relevant for this is pre-meeting prep. So if I click in my meeting, let's say with Jim Halpert here in the annual review, 24 hours, at least by default, we'll ask the AI to go into your CRM, so Redtail, Wealthbox, Salesforce, whatever it is, and we'll ask it questions about the client that it can pull in to give you a nice snapshot of what's going on with them. So we'll ask things like, what's the client's goals and what matters to them? Who's in their household? What are some recent meetings I've had with them and past concerns and the dates that those occurred or what those were discussed? So again, this idea is to give you a quick snapshot of recent information with the client. And if you ever want to dig into where we got this information, there's going to be a little logo of your respective CRM. In this case, this is Redtail, that I can click on and you can see exactly where, or we'll give you a link where we got this information. So if you need to dig in more, you can go ahead and click that link and you'll get a little, you get more information on where we got that information. And so if we will use the name, if the client's name is in the title of the meeting on your calendar, or better yet, if they're an attendee on the meeting. I would say adding them as attendees on the event is the best way to go about things because they have their email, and the email is usually the best way to go into your CRM and pull up information for a client. But if for whatever reason we weren't able to find the client in your contacts within your CRM, you can always click regenerate for different contacts, or maybe you wanted to generate for an additional person in the household. You can search them here, click reprocess now, and then the pre-meeting prep will be regenerated with the additional person or the other person you've chosen. So that's pretty much what the upcoming tab is for. It's to see your upcoming meetings for the week, to toggle on and off the note taker for relevant conferencing tools like Teams and Zoom, and also providing you pre-meeting prep. So that's how you set up your week. But let's talk about impromptu meetings because not every meeting is going to be on your calendar. So in those cases, let's say the client's giving you a call on your phone, or maybe they just walked into your office and they want to have a discussion. How are you starting these impromptu meetings? And that's where this green new meeting button in the upper left-hand corner comes in handy. So if I click on this, I have a few different options. And the first one is capture meeting now. So similarly to what I just showed you before, this will create a brand new meeting separate from my calendar, and then it will do the 3, 2, 1 and start capturing the ambient noise in the room. And then you have to submit it after the fact. So client walks in, you click capture meeting now, and everything should be set from there. The second option is the ability to upload meeting audio. So for whatever reason, if you don't have the note taker in attendance on a meeting, but you did record it, let's say you record it in Zoom or maybe the voice memo app on your phone, you can download that file, upload it to Jump, and then we can still generate notes and tasks for you. The third one down, which I think is very handy and kind of those last minute impromptu sessions is let's say you were invited to a Zoom last minute or a Teams meeting last minute. You can click send note taker to meeting, enter in the meeting URL, the same meeting link that you would use to enter the meeting yourself, click send note taker, and then the note taker will arrive in a matter of seconds. Now, if you're not the host of the meeting, just make sure you let the host know that you're going to have a note taker in attendance so they can allow it to capture the meeting. And then lastly, for an impromptu is join my call. So join my call works if your clients call you or you call your clients on a regular cell phone or a regular landline, not a VoIP. VoIPs are a little bit different. So if you use RingCentral or anything like that, that functions a little bit differently, and I'll talk about that later. But if you do use a regular cell phone or landline, you can enter in your phone number here and extension if necessary. Have the note taker give you a call. We'll have the note taker call you, you'll answer it, then you'll put the note taker on hold, and then you would call out to your client. And then once they answer, you can three-way merge you, the note taker, and the client into one call. And then once the call is over, the meeting will be sent to Jump for processing. And you can do it the other way around as well. So if you're already on the call with your client, you can put them on hold, have the note taker call you, answer it, then merge the three in together. And if you click on how does this work, it kind of gives you step-by-step of what buttons you're going to select. Now, this isn't a complicated process, it's just a multi-step process. which I would recommend testing out with another advisor or maybe one of your admins first, just so you can get the flow down before you're actually using it with a live client. All right, close out of that. Okay, so I'll pause there just to make sure anyone has any questions. I don't think there are any questions in the chat. Hopefully I didn't speak too quickly. All right, so if there's no questions, I'm gonna go to talk about what happens once a meeting has been completed. So whether you've done it on your phone, whether you've done it on the mobile app, or you captured it in Zoom, where do those meetings go? So after a meeting's been completed, they go into your AI processed tab. So the AI process tab means we actually had a meeting with audio and we're able to generate notes, tasks, or a follow-up email. So you can see my most recent meetings at the top. And as you scroll down, you'll see older and older meetings. But let me click into one of my previous meetings on Monday. And this is the meeting page. And there's a lot of information on here, but I'm going to try to break it down into sections. So the first section I want to talk about is this top section. So this is where you'll see the title of the meeting. If it was on your calendar, it'll be titled as the same thing that was on your calendar. If it was an impromptu meeting that wasn't on your calendar, the AI will name it in accordance to what was discussed during the meeting. Similarly, you'll see the attendees from your calendar event if they were on the calendar event. But if you did have an impromptu meeting, you can always edit attendees. And then this allows you to search your CRM to add the attendees. Or maybe in the case that, let's say the husband was invited to the meeting originally, but the wife also joined, you want to add her as an attendee as well. You can do that here. Let me move my box over there. And then you also have these three dots to, share the meeting. If you needed to share a meeting with another Jump user, you can archive the meeting or delete the meeting as well. So that's that top section, just kind of giving you an overview of what this meeting was about. Now below, we have 4 different sections. First, pre-meeting prep. If pre-meeting prep was generated for this meeting, you'll still be able to access it here. Then meeting notes. So to go over the meeting notes, I'm going to go over the kind of the basic template that we have for client meetings. So we have kind of a title here and some information about the meeting, kind of a summary of it all. And then below that, you have a summary of the discussion by topic and some headers, a personal section with some bullet points, firm to-dos, client to-dos, and then some financial planning and fiduciary and suitability impact data charts. And these are automatically filled out based on your conversation with the client. Now this is the basic template, but this is completely customizable. So let's say you wanted the summary of the discussion to be more bullet points and more concise. We can do that. Maybe you want the firm to-dos and client to-dos to be at the top. We can do that. Maybe you want a more thorough note in a kind of storyboard kind of way rather than broken up into bullet points. We can do that. So anything that you want to do, it's probably possible. We have an entire team dedicated and available to you with your subscription. Comes free. You can meet with them as much as you'd like. And we can help build out these templates. And let's say maybe you already have a note template you are comfortable using and you want to mirror. You give that to us. We can help build out the template, test it out with you to make sure it's exactly what you want. Our goal is to make sure that you have to do the least amount of editing after a meeting as possible, and you can just sync it over to your CRM and you're done. But I would recommend if you just are starting with Jump, you go ahead and test this out for a couple of weeks, and then you know what you do and don't like, and then you can go and adjust things in the future. But let's say you want to make some adjustments to the note. There are 2 ways to do that. So first, you have the ability to reprocess a meeting. So we have lots of different meeting types, and essentially these are just different templates based on what the meeting's about. So we have one for a client meeting, one for a discovery and intro meeting with a prospective client, and even one for internal team meetings. And all of those will have different note structures, different follow-up email structures. So we really want to make sure that you're able to follow up nice and easy depending on the type of conversations you're having with the client. The AI will automatically process the meeting based on your discussion. We'll figure out whether this is a prospective client or a regular client. But you can also add some additional instructions here in the bottom box to guide the AI if you want to reprocess the notes. So maybe you want to make the notes more concise or make sure it includes a topic that it may have missed. You can add additional instructions here using normal human language. Click reprocess now, and it will regenerate a new note, a new email, and new tasks according to your guidance. But instead of reprocessing an entire note and you just need to make small edits, you can always click the edit button in the upper right. And this is a traditional kind of way of editing notes. We have traditional tools in the upper left, like bold, italicize. And then also what I find really helpful is find and replace, primarily for the situations where the AI gets the spelling of the client's name wrong. You can easily find and replace them, and that will update the notes nice and quick. Now, one thing to note on editing versus reprocessing, you always want to make sure you reprocess the notes if you need to before you edit manually, because if you reprocess after, it will just erase all of your manual edits. So just keep that in mind. We also have an Ask Anything. So this allows you to ask the AI anything about the meeting if you just want to get a little quick some quick information about the meeting. I use this all the time myself. If I just want to know what were my follow-ups, what did I need to follow up with my clients or my onboarding clients about. So this is a nice, easy way for you to ask questions. You can even generate emails here or any sort of information that comes from this meeting specifically. Then there's also an analytics section. So this allows you to see the talk time between you and your clients, which can be helpful when you're trying to balance between how much the client's talking and how much you are. We also have a sentiment analysis here on the left side that allows you to see little bits of information of where the client expressed some happiness, gratitude, fear, concern, or even some confusion. So you can go back and make sure those are addressed. And then we even have the capability of keyword tracking. So if there's a keyword that you want to track, let's say maybe for compliance reasons, you do or do not want to mention something specifically, you can track that here. One thing we track in our own Jump accounts is how many times we use filler words like or yeah, pretty much like The amount of times I say is ridiculous and kind of disconcerting at times, but allows me to be more aware of my presentation style and hopefully be better. All right. So then how are you getting these notes and these tasks and everything into your CRM? So that's where the automation section on the left side comes in handy, this little lightning bolt tab. So the first one is your ability to add a note to a contact, at least for this account. So when you're initially setting up your account, you actually get to choose where you're sending your note. You can add a note to an event, to a contact, or maybe to a household. But in this case, we're going to add the note to a contact. I can click this automation. I can choose which contacts I'm adding here at the top, and I can do multiple contacts if I needed to. I can edit the note. Depending on your CRM, I can choose a category, and then I'll click Sync to Redtail now, and then the note will sync over to your CRM of choice in a matter of seconds. And then similarly to the note is your ability to sync these follow-up tasks that were generated to your CRM. So I'm going to click Sync to Redtail, and then you can choose the contact that you want to relate these tasks to. You can check and uncheck which tasks you do and do not want to sync over. Depending on your CRM that you're integrated with, you'll have the ability to choose the type, whether it's activity or workflow, templates if you use Redtail, the statuses pull right from your CRM, due date, title, description, all generated by the AI, but you can adjust accordingly. And then most importantly is the assignee. So you can reassign to someone within your CRM, even if they aren't a Jump user, but just make sure you're assigning it to someone that has the logo of your respective CRM to the right of them. Some of these you'll see it just has a Jump logo. If it just has a Jump logo, it won't go to the right place. So just keep that in mind. And then once you're done, you can go ahead and click sync these tasks to whatever CRM you use. And then again, it will just take a couple seconds and those tasks will be synced over. And then lastly, your email recaps. So if it's a discovery call, if it's a client meeting, or if it's, go ahead, I forgot. We'll generate an email based on the meeting type that you have selected or was selected. So in this case, this is the client meeting recap email template that we use for everyone. So there's a discussion section, current focus areas, your to-dos and next steps. So pretty basic template, but again, completely customizable. So if you have a kind of template you use with your clients already, you can reach out to our team and we can set that up and even provide an example that you already have so our AI can match your tone and structure even better. Now, you'll see at the bottom, you have a couple different options. You'll have your options to open in Gmail or open in Outlook, open in your email client, which is probably just Outlook, or just copy the email. Now, if I select copy, you see it checks off green, and that's just letting you know that we saw that you copied the email. That does not mean we sent anything to your client because we don't actually send the email for you. We just generate it for you so you can copy it and then go into your own email and send it off to your client. So just keep that in mind. All right, I know I just threw a lot at y'all. I'll go ahead and give it another pause to make sure there aren't any questions. Doesn't look like there are. But again, feel free to throw them in there and I'll go ahead and pause. Okay, Joseph, if the CRM we use isn't listed, how does this integrate? Can we still use the pre-meeting prep feature, activity features, etc.? So yes, if you do not see your respective CRM, pre-meeting prep won't work because we can't integrate with your CRM. We can't go in and find any information, nor will syncing. So essentially what Jump would do for you is that we would generate the email for you, the notes for you, and you can copy those and paste them into your CRM, same with the tasks, but we just don't have the automatic syncing. So there are limitations on the features that you have access to. May I ask what CRM you're using? So I can double check on you if we have that coming down the pipeline. Raymond James. Okay, yeah. Raymond James, I know we're talking about that with them. But yeah, so far right now, that's not in the near future, but I know it's coming down the pipeline sometime. Raymond James, yeah, we just been working with them to make sure we can get access to that. All right. So now that we've talked about those, I want to talk about some other sections that are pretty basic. There are the action items. So we sort your previous meetings based on the action items that still need to happen. So if I click on recap emails, you can see a list of all of your previous meetings and all the emails that have been generated, which ones you've copied and which ones you have not. Again, whether we assume that you sent the email or not. The notes in CRM, so which notes you've synced and which ones you haven't. And then the follow-ups, which tasks have you synced and which ones you haven't. So a good way to, like, on a Friday or the end of the week, to check yourself, did I do all my follow-ups? Did I get everything into my CRM? And there's also the all contacts section. So the all contacts section allows you to see a list of all of your contacts from your CRM. So if I click into one of my contacts, I can see all of the previous meetings that I've had with this client listed below within Jump. And I also have the ability to generate pre-meeting prep on the fly. So we don't have to have an upcoming meeting in order to generate pre-meeting prep and get a snapshot into this client. And I always can regenerate it. If there's new information within the CRM, I can regenerate it at any time. All right, so to go over some user settings, so settings specifically to you, I'm gonna click on user settings in the lower left-hand corner. This profile page allows you to get a snapshot of your profile specifically. So what plan are you using, your email that's attached to your account, and which way you sign in. So if you sign in with Microsoft, it'll say that. Google, it'll say that. Or if you just sign in with a magic link. Will all the Redtail users in our CRM show up in Jump, even if not Jump users to create a task? Yes, yes, yeah. So for an assignee, yes, everyone will show up that's in your Redtail account as long as you're an admin. That's one thing that for Redtail specifically, you have to be a Redtail admin to see every assignee within your Redtail account. So just keep that in mind. We try to work with them to make it so you don't have to be an admin, but their API just doesn't allow for that. So if you're not seeing those attendees or the assignees and tasks, that's why. Good question. And then below here in the lower left, you have the ability for us to enter in your phone number, have us send you a link to our mobile app to download only for iOS. Or if you have Android, you can also just go to your app store and search Jump AI Note Taker. And it's a white app with three horizontal black lines. Then there's the integrations page. So these are all of the CRMs that we have available to you. If some CRMs aren't showing up, you're probably part of a broker dealer that has limited certain access to certain features. But this is where you can adjust if you change from one CRM to another. We also have financial planning tools like Right Capital and eMoney. You can learn more about those features on our Help Center, but essentially allows us to kind of compare and contrast what's already in those platforms and what you talk about in one of your meetings. So if a client mentions an increase of their salary or a new 401k, we'll flag that and say, hey, do you want to update eMoney with this new information? Then our meeting integrations, a few callouts here are our VoIPs, so RingCentral and Toast Dialpad. So if you use one of those and you integrate with one of those, as long as you have automatic recording on those systems, once a call has been done, that recording will be sent to Jump, and then we can process notes and tasks for you. So it's a pretty automatic process. It's different from the Join My Call, because Join My Call is just for regular calls and landlines. These are just specific for these VoIPs. And then of course, calendar integrations here at the bottom. Then there's the automations tab. So I'm not going to dig too deep into this, but this is all the different meeting types, the basic meeting types we have. You can create new meeting types if you have different kinds of meetings you have with your clients throughout the year. But again, I do recommend reaching out if you do want to make customizations to our customization team. And the way to do that is to click this little smiley face in the lower right-hand corner, and you can reach out to us here, and our support team will direct you to our customization team, so you can work with them on building out different templates or different meeting types. And then once you've done that once, you can kind of do it yourself if you feel comfortable. And then lastly, our preferences. So the top section is your email settings. So whether we send you an email when a meeting is done processing or pre-meeting prep has been generated. If you have access, meeting sharing. So if another Jump user, it was an attendee on your meeting, we will automatically share that meeting with them. Otherwise, they can request approval from you. Your calendars that you're syncing in. So you can choose which calendars you're syncing in. If you use Redtail or Wealthbox, we can sync in those calendars as well. And then also your ability to toggle on and off whether you want the note taker to automatically arrive in your upcoming tab that I showed you at the beginning, automatically arrive or not. And then lastly, our event filters. So this is really important to call out. A lot of people use their calendars for more than just their client meetings. But to keep things clean and focused, you can always add some event filters so your upcoming tab only includes the relevant meetings with your clients. So for example, I can go ahead and let's say event title contains none of, let's say, gym. So if I have any events on my calendar that contain gym, we will exclude those from the upcoming tab and bring everything else in. Or on the flip side, let's say it contains any client meeting. So what this says is anything on my calendar that includes a title with client meeting in it will be brought in and everything else will be excluded. Now we can add a bunch of different filters like, are you the event organizer, the conference provider, is it Zoom, is it Teams, event type, so things like the color coding on Outlook, event visibility, is it private or not? So lots of different options here, but I do recommend not adding too many filters. Usually one or two will suffice. So if you're running into issues and you end up clearing the upcoming tab entirely, reach out to our support team and they can help you out. We also have information on how to filter out your events on our help center. Excuse me. And speaking of our Help Center, you can always find it by clicking Help and Help Center right here. And there's lots of different videos and articles that you can review. All right, so that's pretty much the gist of Jump. But I want to leave time for people to come off mic if they want to, or come off mute, excuse me, and ask questions.